Hi vinyl community, it's Mike Vinyl Sparrow here, and today I'm going to talk about some of the 10-inch vinyl in my collection. All of the stuff I'm going to show today I think can either be classed as mini LPs or EPs, so there's no 10-inch singles in here. So, first off is this one. It's a 2018 UK Record Store Day release and it's called Magic Cube. And this was a collection of 9 US garage psych singles, and it's absolutely brilliant. It was originally released in the US as a 9-inch flexi disc way back in 1982. I think the Record Store Day release is the only vinyl release that it's had in the UK. So it comes on this grey vinyl, but it's described as lavender on the cover of the album, but I would call that definitely grey. So there's some real sort of lost sort of classics in here, as is normally the case with these sort of things. You know, there's a lot of psych bands both in the US and the UK who maybe produced 1 or 2 singles, and that was it. And if it wasn't for these compilations, I think they would be lost forever. But what we've got here is, as I say, there's 9 tracks on it. The standouts for me are the opening track, a band called Front Page News, and their track is called Thoughts, and it's from 1967, and it was the only single that they produced. In fact, it was the only piece of vinyl they ever put out. Then there's the Bedlam 4 with Hydrogen Atom, and again this is a 1967 track. Unrelated Segments, and a track by them called Cry Cry Cry, and that's from 1968. Now I don't really know anything about any of these bands, but I understand that maybe Unrelated Segments had a little bit of prolonged success, maybe 2 or 3 years over in the US, and they certainly produced more than the one single. And then there's the Painted Faces and their track called I Lost You in My Mind, and that's also 1967, and that is real sort of acid punk. It's brilliant and definitely the best track on this little album. Now it's marketed, it says on the back here, it says 9 psychedelic greats. Well, I'll agree with that. It says plus a mind-blowing gimmick. So here goes. Here's a mind-blowing gimmick, and I'll let you decide just how much your minds have been blown by this. Here we are. Do not open. Piece of green cardboard, little cardboard sleeve. Oh, there's something inside. What could it be? Open it up, let go, and magically it turns into a cue because it's got elastic bands inside it. And it's green and it's got the track listing on it. Absolutely mind-blowing, isn't it? Anyway, you decide. Maybe you thought that was absolutely brilliant. I'm not impressed. Right. On to something else, and this is Wild Billy Childish, and one of the many bands that he plays with. This is CTMF, and it's called In the Devil's Focus, and it's from 2017, and it's on the Damaged Goods label. This is really brilliant garage punk and just plain good old rock and roll. There's not a bad track on this album. So as I say, it's CTMF he's playing with here, and they're normally a trio. And yes, it's Billy on the guitar and vocals. Juju, she plays the bass and also guitars and does a bit of backing vocals. And then there's Wolf who plays the drums. So here it is. Here's the label. Is it good? So some brilliant tracks on here. As I say, there's not a bad one. But if I had to choose some of them, it would be You Gotta Lose, which was actually written by Rich Tell. The title track in A Devil's Focus. Empty. Now, that's a real sort of US West Coast garage sort of feel to it. It's really, really, really pretty good. And then there's Medway Trogloomania. The Medway is a river in Kent where Billy Childish lives. Now, Billy is not just a musician. He's been around for years and years and years. But he's also an artist and a poet, and an all-round polymath, I suppose you'd say. He founded with others a movement called the Stuckist movement, and the Stuckists describe themselves as an anti-art movement. And the anti-art that they were against was the sort of thing being produced by the young British artists and others that they considered not to be art at all. They've always subscribed to the fact that, as far as they're concerned, art has to have a bit of soul to it. It has to have some sort of meaning. It can't just be, something you found, which tends to be the case. They were particularly against the Turner Prize, and they often demonstrate outside the Turner Prize presentation, often dressed as clowns. And ironically, they're not fans of the young British artists. And as I found out the other day when I was watching a video by Nick's Vinyl Butty, Billy Childish, his partner once was Tracy Emin, one of the young British artists. So I assume they're not together anymore. But that's Billy. I mean, every time he produces something, it's slightly different from, or maybe completely different from what he's produced before. So he's definitely one to go out and look for. Right, now my favourites from Lancaster, and it's these guys. It's the Lovely Eggs, and this is their Fried Egg EP. There it is. That's a fried egg, and you can have it over easy, or you can have it sunny side up. So this was originally self-released as a CD back in 2007, I believe. Yes, 2007. And it was released on 10-inch vinyl in 2022. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know I really love the Lovely Eggs. It's on their own egg label, and it's just great DIY post-punk. Tracks on here include I Like Birds and I Love Other Animals Too, Devil in Me, Last Train to Ballard, and I'm Having a Party and We're Killing Ourselves. There's about 9 tracks on this. When I was getting the the EPL, I found this. It's a ticket stub from the Brudenell Social Club in Leeds for the Lovely Eggs, and the date of the gig should have been uh, what was it? Friday, 10th of April, 2020. Well, that coincided almost exactly with the start of the COVID lockdown. So I hung on to this ticket for, I was going to say the best part of 2 years, but I think it was over 2 years until I finally got to see them at the Brudenell. And as always, they were brilliant. So that's the lovely, lovely eggs. Changing the mood completely here. It's it's another record store day release. Uh, this time it's from 2019. It's from the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, and it features Desmond Briscoe and Glynis Jones from the workshop. And this is their 1972 soundtrack to the BBC horror film, The Stone Tape. So, as I say, it was a horror story. It was written by Nigel Neal, and it was broadcast on Christmas Day 1972. So it starred some pretty big people, a guy called Michael Bryant, but Jane Asher, who's on the cover there, Michael Bates and Ian Cuthbertson. And it's all about a group of scientists who visit an old manor house to study some paranormal phenomena. They believe that the stones of the house actually retain recordings of past events. And I can remember watching this on Christmas Day way back in 1972. So, it's over 50 years ago now. But I can remember that this was pretty scary, pretty brilliant bit of TV horror. The album itself comes on this sort of lovely green vinyl, the Stone Tape, and there you go. That's the other side. So the A side of this is it's quite sort of upbeat. Couple of tracks, The Arrival and Seen and Heard. Say that they're very sort of psyche, proggy, quite sort of upbeat. This is the soundtrack to before anything untoward is happening. But on the B side of this is where the Radiophonic Workshop really show what they can do. It's dark, ethereal, it's atmospheric, it's moody, it's brilliant electronic music. So if you're into your electronic music, try and get hold of this. It's pretty good, and as I say, it's something I can remember. I can remember watching this, and so it brings back some scary memories for me. Right, just one more, I think, and this is one of my favourite French bands, and it's Junior, and this is called Magnific, and Junior were formed in Paris in 2013 by singer-songwriter Anna Jean. Anna Jean does all the songwriting for Junior, and it's on the Outre Discs album from Paris, label from Paris. And other musicians on here are Sonny Oster, Agnes Imbo, and Sonny Elzinger. So it's in this incarnation there are four-piece all-female band. What this actually is a compilation of various singles, all of which I'd previously missed. So I was really pleased to get this on vinyl. As I say, every track's an absolute winner. So from the opening track called Sabalance, Panique, which is a bit of a favourite. Then we got Marabou, Difficile, uh, On the Retard, Extra Lucide, Magnific, and À la Plage. Now, I think Anna Shonna's got an absolutely brilliant voice. I mean, the music itself, I think I've heard it described as being yay noir, and I kind of agree with that. And I've also heard Anna's voice being described as a mix between Françoise Hardy and Nico, if you can imagine that. Absolutely brilliant stuff. They're a brilliant band. I have two albums from 2017, Ooh La La and Under Toi, which was their latest album from 2020. Now, this is a band that I was going to go and see just before lockdown happened, and unfortunately, they didn't arrive, and everything was cancelled, and haven't been back to Leeds since. So I've missed a chance of seeing them, but maybe one day. So there you go. So that's my 10-inch mini albums. Hope you like what you saw, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.